Brett the Hitman Haas getting squashed by a supposed monster heel that nobody gives a shit about. A 20-minute DX ego stroke segment. Beth Phoenix and Natty Neidhart selling for Mae Young. The Undertaker versus Jiggly Boobs Layfield. And Michael Cole dancing with Goldust. That's what the WWE delivered for this quote-unquote historic 800th episode of Raw. A show that by their own exact words was generations in the making. You know, TNA had a big event-type show themselves just a few weeks ago. And I'm well aware that a lot of people criticized the live Las Vegas Impact, and maybe those criticisms were warranted and maybe they weren't. But you know what? At least TNA tried. They might have tripped over their own feet in the process at certain points, but at least TNA tried to deliver something. And that is the difference. The 800th Raw show that aired last Monday night only tried to deliver two things. Jack and shit! And that's all that I've got to say about that. Now let us never speak of the 800th Raw show again. Alright. No Kip James in HD this week, so I don't need these. Decent impact this week. Not great, not as good as the one last week, but not terrible. Definitely a lot of hit and miss stuff. First of all, we had a ladder match for the number one contendership for the tag team titles, and just... Okay, just... No, okay, just... No. Just... No! Just... Oh! No! No! No more ladder matches! No more ladder matches! Sorry, kind of lost my cool there for a second. Look, I've gone on the ladder match rant so many times, but if you've never listened to it before, listen to it now. TNA, this is the 11th ladder match you've had in the last year. 11 ladder matches in 12 months is too fucking many. And if you absolutely have to book a ladder match on Impact, why do you continue to book them in such a way that makes them look absolutely meaningless? If all you do is give it a brief mention at the start of the show and then give the match itself less than 8 minutes, it completely defeats the purpose of having a ladder match in the first place, because if it's portrayed like it means nothing, that's how the fans will perceive it. So, yeah, put that one in the miss column. And if you want a bigger ladder match rant than that, then go watch one of my old videos, because I just don't want to get myself worked up into a frenzy over this again. Anyway, let's put one in the hit column now, shall we? The Sting AJ Styles interview was awesome. Best thing about the show, in fact, was very powerful exchange. It hit all the right notes. I love how Sting keeps making this more personal by bringing up AJ's crappy home life as a kid. That strikes the right chord, whereas Kurt Angle threatening Jeff Jarrett's kids strikes the wrong chord. Sting comes off like a real heel, while Kurt comes off like a potentially dangerous criminal who would be looking at a restraining order in any other situation. So, terrific segment here. Next. So, Booker T and Sharmell are all buddy-buddy with Robert Roode now? Alright. And wasn't Robert Roode the guy who was pissed off about how he'd been trying to climb the ladder in TNA, but then these all quote-unquote stars from the other company kept coming in to push him back down? Okay, if anyone on the roster would hate what the main event Mafia stand for, it's Robert Roode. Miss. The Rocket Con heel turn. This probably could have been executed better, but it goes in the hit column because, as I've said several times now, the Knockouts division is hurting for credible heels lately. And since the beautiful people are at the bottom of the ladder right now, that pretty much leaves Raka Khan. And this is a better role for her. I was not buying her as a babyface at all. I haven't been impressed with her wrestling, but she really hasn't done that much yet, so I'll give her a shot in this new role. Miss Scott Steiner in the main event. I know the main event Mafia should be looking strong going into Turning Point, but this was not the way to do it. I mean, I was a big fan of Scott Steiner 10 years ago, but like Kevin Nash, his best days are behind him. And this match just proved that. He was sucking wind after 2 minutes. And if he can't even keep up the pace for that long, then he should not be going over Samoa Joe under any circumstances. And Kevin Nash is the same way, but I'll get to him later. Hit. The beatdown on Roxy was a nice way to escalate the Knockouts title feud. I think they oversold the injury angle a little bit, probably, to the point where it might not be realistic for Roxy to be ready to go at Turning Point now, but I think it did what it needed to do. Miss. Once again, the matches were too short. The women's match and both six-man tags were good while they lasted, but they needed to be longer if you wanted them to mean anything. And you damn sure can't have an 8-man ladder match and then only give it 8 minutes, including a commercial break. Hit. Good storyline and character progression. Almost every match at the pay-per-view was built up nicely. So, we had to take the good with the bad with Impact this week. It's a little frustrating after the show was so good the week before, but that happens sometimes. Alright, Turning Point. Here's the thing. The build-up for this show may have suffered a little bit because the hype for the Las Vegas show and the move to HD kind of took precedence for the last few weeks, but don't let that, or the fact that Rhino and Sheik Abdul-Bashir is most likely just a throwaway, fool you, because on paper this is a deceptively good show. X Division seeding match. I think it's probably going to be Jay Lethal, Consequences Creed, Sanjay Dutt, Petey Williams, Homicide, and Eric Young. They were the ones in the hype video on the YouTube page. There isn't really a storyline here, but it'll be a great showcase for the X Division, and those types of matches are always fun to watch. Tag team title match. Motor City Machine Guns finally get a damn title shot after about a year and a half. That alone puts me on pins and needles for this one. Booker T versus Christian Cage for the Legends title. I mean, yeah, we've seen this one before, and we know these guys match up really well together, and this has been brewing since before Bound for Glory, and there's some interesting implications if Christian loses. Kurt Angle versus Abyss, Falls Count Anywhere. They had a really good match last week, and I expect this one to top it. Taylor and Roxy versus Kong and Saeed. I really like how this feud is intensifying now. They ought to be able to top their previous efforts if they get enough time this month, unlike their match at Bound for Glory, which did not get enough time. And also, I'd look for Roxy to possibly go nuts here and just break out some hardcore elements. Could be interesting if that happens. Samoa Joe versus Kevin Nash. This is the payoff for a storyline that's been percolating for the last year. Okay, the main event, the main draw in this match is the meaning behind the match rather than the match itself. And yeah, it probably won't be a great match because it's Kevin Nash, but that's not really why we should be watching this one, because there's meaning behind it, thankfully. And I'm genuinely excited to see this one because of the way it's been built up. Sting versus AJ Styles for the world title in the main event. Fans' dream match. Okay, this is the main reason to order this pay-per-view. Okay, more than all the others, this is the match that I just cannot wait to see. Aside from the fact that this has been built up as long as the Bound for Glory main event was, it's Sting and AJ Styles. If you're not jacked to see Turning Point on the basis of Sting versus AJ Styles, then I don't know how to help you. Order the pay-per-view. I'm signing off. I'll talk to you in a few days.